Hello and welcome to Point of View, where we give students a place to listen, learn, and lean in. I'm your host, Delisa.
Logan.
Carlos.
And Jonah.
And today we'll be discussing the new Mario movie, which has received overwhelmingly positive reviews from nostalgic fans, but according to The Guardian and many other news reviews, is nothing more than a, quote, lazy animated mess.
From this point on, please listen at your own discretion, as we will be discussing plot points, characters, and dialogue that may include spoilers. If you haven't watched the movie yet, pause the episode now and continue listening once you have watched it.
For anyone familiar with Nintendo's Mario video game franchise, the Super Mario Bros. Film features the origin story for the brothers Mario and Luigi, Italian-American plumbers who are transported to an alternate world and become entangled in a battle between the Mushroom Kingdom, led by Princess Peach, and the Koopas, led by Bowser. After the failure of the 1993 live-action Mario film, Nintendo became reluctant to license one of its intellectual properties for film adaptations. This month's new Super Mario Bros. Movie reveals a blossoming friendship between Nintendo and Universal Pictures at the creation of Super Nintendo World at several Universal Studios theme parks globally.
Okay, so first off, we're going to start talking about our opinions and our thoughts about the actual movie itself. And we had the idea to start by mentioning one thing we disliked first about the plot, one thing we disliked, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll start first. The main thing I disliked about the plot, the dialogue, the characters, whatever, is that it's very apparently obvious that this is a movie directed towards 12-year-olds first and foremost. A lot of it is very shallow, and a lot of it's very, you can look at it, see exactly what's going on, and there's not a lot to think about. And for a franchise that I've loved for a very long time, it feels kind of disappointing to have the movie be so dumbed down.
So I think I hear what you're saying about being disappointed as a fan of the franchise, but I think there is something to be said about that they played it safe instead of trying to do something weird with it, because the last time they tried to do something weird with the 1993 movie, I would honestly call that disrespectful. Right. No. So I would rather have a mediocre but respectful product than.
Did any of you guys watch?
I did actually before the Mario movie because I was like, hey, it'd be neat. Watch the. It's so bad. It's so genuinely not good. So it's not. Carlos does have a very good point. It's a lot better to have a dumbed down, if not kind of shallow movie than whatever that was. You know what I mean? So it is.
One thing I coming from someone who's not a Mario fan and just came from a fresh perspective, I guess, I didn't understand I guess the movie was mainly just a bunch of game references. So for me, it was going in so I guess the fans, a lot of the things they probably saw were oh my God, look at that, look at this, look at that, it's so special, or whatever. And I understand that the movie is obviously geared towards fans. However, someone who doesn't know anything about the game at all, it was kind of just forced in the way that they added these things. And it felt they were relying so much on all these references that there was no real plot or anything really interesting to the movie other than just fan service.
See, I am a fan of the Mario series, and I got pretty much every single reference, but I still share your perspective because it honestly got tiring that every single shot there's a reference, and I'm oh wow, look at that. And I know for a lot of people that's enjoyable, but for me it was just tiring that every single shot there was a little hidden joke. I don't know, I just wanted to enjoy the movie for what it was and not be pointing at the screen every single second. Jonah, you're not a fan of Mario in general, but you still enjoyed the movie. So what's your perspective on all the references?
I thought they were noticeable even if you had never played the game, because they felt out of touch from what I couldn't give you a specific example, but certain lines and jokes and characters in the background just felt like they were a reference instead of being an actual part of the movie. And a functioning part of the movie. They were just there to be there.
Well, I can give an example probably. I think if you have never played the specific Mario game they were referencing, the part where Mario turns into a cat just makes no sense at all.
I could tell that was a reference.
No, what was that?
So
I
it's
never
a reference
understood
to
that.
Super Mario 3D World where a cat, that's a power-up in the game. You become a cat, and it's goofy, it's silly.
Oh.
And it's they reference that by having it being in one of the power-up blocks. But I know that because I've played at least that game for 40 hours, or like, because I've played the game before, and Carlos has played the game before.
Right.
Lord knows what y'all felt when you just saw Mario turn into a cat.
No,
out
I
of the
saw it in the
assumed,
trailer, so
yeah,
I
I
knew what was happening.
assumed that was like a power up, and I recognized some of the references, like the rainbow.
Right.
Yeah.
They're,
And like,
they're really surface level stuff.
yeah, but like at the same time, it just didn't feel very of much of an engaging movie. Like
That's
I didn't
fair.
really relate with any. It's not like I related with any of the characters. It was just like it was what it was, but it was like nothing else.
Right, and I think I was at least actively engaged mainly because of the references, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're all agreeing that at a core level, the movie isn't the most interesting, like at its very essence.
Yeah.
I honestly was pretty disengaged, especially during the middle of the movie, because I don't know how they managed to pull this off, but the pacing is so incredibly fast
Oh my
to
God.
where they can't focus on anything, but at the same time, there's long periods of time in the movie where nothing happens.
It's really weird.
I don't know how you can do that.
Yeah,
but
they
they
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
that. Like,
they had so many different places that they went to, but they all happened so fast.
And even then, they
Like-
didn't actually go to that many places when you look back and think on it. Like, they showed, at the very start of this movie, they showed this whole map of the world around them and
Yeah.
all that, right?
Yeah.
And then you go back and look at it, and they went to like 5 places. Maybe. You know what I mean? They went.
Yeah, but
it
they
was
all
the
happened
kingdom,
so
it was
fast.
like the dark area, it was the penguin thing, the Donkey Kong Kingdom, and then Rainbow Road. And like, as far as I remember, that was about it. That was the places they went,
Yeah.
right? Which feels like if you're gonna try and like make these areas references, why would you only use so few of them?
Yeah, and another thing that I dislike is like the cutscenes. Like, it was kind of like they cut from one, like how you said they cut from one thing to the next. It was like, how did they just like go
Yeah.
underground and suddenly they're in a completely new world? Like it
Like an
made
episode of
no
Family Guy.
sense. And then all of a sudden, at the very end, they're back in the real world and they like save everything.
The ending is
It's
so
just
rushed.
so rushed.
Yeah.
It's just so rushed, like so cheesy. And it's like they could have made the movie a lot better if they tried to make it make sense and beyond just like what it was. You know what I'm saying?
So we've talked about the merit of the plot and just the general pacing of the film, but how do you guys feel about the technical aspects, like how it looked, how the music sounded, and stuff like that?
I'm really dumb when it comes to movies, but I thought it was neat. Like the animation looked really pretty.
The
to look.
animation did look really good.
The
I will say
music
that.
was really good. But I don't know how much of me liking music is the fact that literally almost every song was either a song that I know because it's like an 80s or 70s song, or because all the original compositions were just like motifs and references to Mario music. So it was like, I don't know how well it would land if you weren't into that stuff, but I enjoyed basically all the technical aspects that I can think of, like the music and the animation and the way it was shot per se, and all. It all seemed nice.
Yeah.
My perspective on the music is I think they were trying to go for what Shrek did a long time ago. So if you guys don't know, Shrek was one of the first animated films to pioneer including like popular songs from the time as music in the movie. Before then, most movies sort of included like they mostly included original songs, right? But Shrek was sort of the pioneer, for better or worse, for including pop songs in your movie. So, but they mix that with original pieces for emotional moments and stuff like that. But the Mario movie, while the original pieces were nice, there was no purpose behind the 70s and 80s songs that they included. It just felt so out of place to me, and I don't
Yeah,
know what
especially,
they were
like,
thinking.
It was very Illumination. Yeah.
Like the Take On Me song, like when they were like in the
Right.
cart in Donkey Kong's, like it didn't fit the Donkey Kong world at all because it's not even
Right.
retro. But I mean, I still like the song because I like the song Take On Me. But yeah, it was
it's like
definitely
playing
out
it
of
safe.
place.
Like people are gonna like the song because they like the song. It's like
Yeah.
not really
Right.
trying to do anything.
Yeah, so technical aspects, going back to that, the animation did look really good, especially during like the foggy scenes with like Bowser's like ship or whatever.
yeah, no, that's
that
good.
looked really good. The fire, the water, all the different places that they went to definitely complemented the animation.
You can see where the money went for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like it was so obvious that they were like experts in like the animation type of
Yeah.
field, but when it came to like the actual like plot creation, I was like, who is writing this? Like
Right.
I just didn't understand.
Next, we're going to talk about. So, the movie itself made a kind of controversial thing. It's where they, being from a video game, they ignored the actual cast of voice actors and all that, and opted instead to use Hollywood actors. And depending on who you were, you thought that was a good idea, you thought that was a bad idea. I want to know what y'all actually think about that decision. Like, what do you think? How do you think it was? Did you like how it turned out, or?
I don't think it makes a lot of sense to do that, but then again, without getting some big names in your movie's not going to sell very well. And if you just got no-name voice actors, then I don't think people would. Not no-name, but, like, not popularized.
It makes the movie even more niche.
Like, people hear Chris Pratt.
Pratt.
And a lot of people probably, like, watched it for the voice actors, maybe, because they heard that they were voicing characters.
Yeah.
I think, so my perspective on it is there was no need to make every single casting a famous Hollywood star. The only casting that, like, I was really behind was the casting of Jack Black. And the reason is because alongside being a Hollywood actor, he has a lot of stuff that he's done in, like, already in animated movies as a voice actor. He provided the voice for Po in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, that was
him? Yeah, that was him. So he already has experience in that, and you can really tell in the performance. Like, I think he was the best part of the movie. So I think in that case it was a good casting, but otherwise it's very clear that they were casting just to get big names on the cast list. But I really think that was unnecessary because this movie was already going to sell because it has the Mario name on it.
Yeah, because Jack Black didn't sound like himself as Bowser. Everyone else just sounded like themselves. They weren't trying to voice the character.
Okay,
they were more voicing themselves.
I disagree.
Who do you think?
I fully expected Chris Pratt to sound like Chris Pratt, but he really,
you warm up to the voice acting over the movie.
he really didn't. It felt like he was actually putting on a voice and trying to do a good job, and there was only like a couple lines where it was like, it literally sounds like Chris Pratt.
Especially during the commercial scene at the beginning.
It feels
that
like
sounded good.
all the commercials that they did happened to use the worst lines from Chris Pratt,
Right.
and it was like, oh, okay. I feel another point, just like to wrap up this conversation, that not a lot of people were pointing out is that to have an actual movie with with the real voice actors would be so genuinely annoying, even as somebody who loves films, because the voices in the games are always high-pitched, yelling, very unintelligent. It's like, it's like almost like you would be watching a Rabbids. You know what I mean? Like, it's just loud.
I agree. Yeah, I think people who were asking for Charles Martinet to be the voice actor for Mario, and then he would also be the voice actor for Luigi. I think that would have been a terrible idea.
Like one high-pitched dude with basically the same voices for an entire hour, 45-minute long movie would just be so not enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, before we move on to the next thing, I did want to ask something I forgot to write down in the notes. But what was all of y'all's favorite character and your favorite part of the movie, if you have one?
Well, I already said this. My favorite part of the movie and my favorite character was just every scene that Bowser was in.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, I don't know. He was he was the funniest character to me.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure you all remember the line where he was like, "Love really makes a turtle come out of his shell." Like, I don't the awkwardness of that line was just played so perfectly. Like, that was my favorite part of the movie.
Okay, Jonah.
I really like the blue Lumistar a lot.
God.
The little star.
Bad opinion. What was your
Bad
favorite
opinion?
part? It's just an edgy 14-year-old made into a thing, and
I
it's
liked
not
it.
faithful to the character at all.
I
I'm
can
not about
understand
to be a
that.
nerd,
I can
but whatever.
completely understand that.
What's your favorite part of the movie?
favorite part of the movie? I liked the Mario Kart part a lot on
Yeah,
Rainbow
no, I'm-
Road.
I'm in
I
the
thought that
same
was
boat as
great.
you.
Yeah.
Barring the really annoying blue shell part, I think that the Rainbow Road part was for
Yeah.
sure the best part. What about you, Delisa?
What was his name? Donkey Kong?
Donkey Kong, yeah.
Yeah, I liked him and I liked Bowser a lot. I thought they were the most like compelling characters. Bowser, because I did not expect that twist where he was like in love with Princess Peach. I thought that was kind of like added an interesting aspect to the movie, and it made me think like, is that part of the game?
It
or
is,
like,
yeah.
It
So
is.
it's a big part of the game, but I thought they just weren't going to include it because the way
That
they
was never part of the trailers
okay,
at all.
I
either.
will.
Yeah.
I will say it hasn't always been part of the game. It's
True.
always been a theory that fans had, but it wasn't really confirmed until like one of the more recent games,
one of the
Super
3D
Mario
ones.
Odyssey,
Yeah.
where the game literally starts with the exact same plot. Bowser's putting on a sham wedding to marry Peach. But before then, it was just unknown why he continued to kidnap her, which is something we didn't talk about, the fact that they didn't go with the kidnapping Peach plot.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, so Logan, what was your favorite part and character?
Wait, you said your favorite part?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm just looking it up.
Right.
My favorite character was Peach because I've been a sucker for Peach throughout the entire franchise because she's cool. Even though the Peach in the actual movie was like not really Peach per se. It was still a good character and a compelling character, and I like the design. And then for my favorite part, probably also the Mario Kart part. I don't know. It was just really
It
nice
was
to
just
see.
great. It was really
Like as a
visually
super fan,
appealing,
it was
too.
just really nice to see like all the little guys and all the little references.
I
and
will say this is probably a very unpopular opinion, but my favorite section of the movie was the very beginning where Mario and Luigi are just normal guys. Like
it was neat.
I don't know, like I almost wish there was more of that because that was the only part where everything felt kind of grounded and everything made sense.
Right.
Yeah.
The real world really did feel shoved to the side for a lot.
Yeah, for me, it was low-key, like, if I think about it more, it was like there were certain scenes that I really enjoyed, and I feel like if they had just put those together and, like, developed an actual, like, I guess, like, line of, like, plot that, like, made everything go together, the movie could have, like, progressed from there.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
think
make
the
sense?
movie would have also benefited a lot from a longer runtime
Yeah.
because it was really only an hour and a half, and I really did want to see more of like Mario and Luigi in the real world and just more of the places that they went to because they went to a lot of cool places and we didn't spend a lot of time in them, or at least that's how it felt to me.
So I have a question. So one complaint that a lot of people have been giving is like there's hints of like character development throughout the movie, but then they go into it a little bit and then they just sort of cut it off. Like for example, when Mario and Donkey Kong are stuck in the eel's belly, they both start getting into like their need for approval from their fathers, and then they just drop it. Right, they don't develop
Yeah.
it at all.
No, I was thinking about that. Happens so much, like when he fights Donkey Kong and he thinks he's gonna lose, and then he just beats him, and it's like that's it. Or like
Yeah.
when he's like, Princess Peach is like teaching him how to use the power ups, and he's like struggling really hard, but he still pushes through and like tries his best, and then he eventually like almost makes it. It's like, I think the problem was that Mario was just not really a developed character.
Yeah, he never really has a moment of loss or
Yeah,
growth
the
or
fact that I
anything.
liked
Yeah.
so many of the other characters, but Mario was just never really it
Right.
for me. I don't know what.
Part of it is that in the games, he kind of is literally just a piece of cardboard meant to like. It's like, hey, look, funny man jumping around. He's not anything real. He doesn't really have a personality of like any of like, and even in the like offshoot games where they give characters more personality, like the sports games or Mario Party or any of that, Mario is always just that dude who's there, right? He's Mario. He's the face of the franchise, and that's about it. And that was like kind of the exact thing that happened in the movie too, and it does just kind of feel like a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people, including me, have been comparing this movie to the Lego movie, which is
Specifically the Lego
Specifically
movie.
Lego
They're very
Lego
similar
movie.
the more I think
No,
about it.
because the plot is extremely similar, and so is the overall premise of the movie. Like, this is a very huge franchise for children, so now let's try to turn it into a movie. So, I just like to have a discussion on like the differences between the movies, which one did it better, stuff like that.
Is the Lego movie similar to the show?
Huh?
Like the
Like a Ninjago show, you mean?
Yeah.
No,
So the
I'll give a brief summary of the plot of the Lego movie. So, Emmett is the main character, and he's a regular, completely unremarkable guy at the beginning, and then he gets thrown into this magic portal to another world. This should sound familiar.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's the chosen one, and he needs to defeat this big bad guy who's threatening to destroy the entire world. And he gets a much more competent female sidekick that there is some romantic tension, but like it doesn't really go anywhere.
Oh my god,
And
this sounds
then
so...
they go through, visit all these different worlds. They recruit some people to help them, and then at the like, it's just extremely similar overall.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, the Lego Movie did it better, like adapting the children's franchise to a movie. I'd like to hear you guys' perspectives.
Yeah. Also, the Lego Movie didn't have to fit in a ton of references like Mario did, and I think that allowed it to have like a lot more fleshed out characters, I'd say, and a better plot and a better dialogue than the Mario
Well,
movie.
the thing about the Lego movie actually is that it's full of references. It's
That's
crazy.
what- yeah.
So that's what.
Yeah.
So the thing is the main. So I like both those movies obviously, but I do think the Lego movie is better solely because they went plot first and then added all the
Exactly,
fancy stuff on top of it.
exactly,
Where it
yeah.
feels like for Mario they went, oh, references, let's add this, and then they worked down to have a really nothing plot, and that just feels like
Yeah.
towards.
Another thing with the references in the Lego movie is they're not references to Lego in particular. They're
Right.
references to all sorts of stuff surrounding Lego, just because of the nature of Lego and how
Right.
it gets licensed by different companies. Like you had Batman in there, you had a whole bunch of stuff. Like that's gonna be recognizable to a general audience, not just fans of Lego.
So what was the other movie you wanted to compare to then? So we have our general Lego movie
I
comparisons.
think for me, like, I'm not really like a super big film person, but there have been like animated movies that are supposedly like kids movies that I've watched in the past, like Big Hero 6 or like Despicable Me and that type of thing, that like I really, really enjoyed. So for me, watching the Mario movie, I was like, is this it? Like, is that all there is?
I think that's the perfect way to summarize the Mario movie as a general.
Yeah.
Is this it? Is that all there is? I feel like that's the
Yeah.
perfect way to put it.
And Despicable Me in particular was produced by the same company that made the Mario movie, Illumination. And in my opinion, Despicable Me is the best movie that Illumination has made. They've sort of been downhill since then. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's putting it very generously.
But something Despicable Me has that the Mario movie doesn't is that Gru actually develops as a character throughout the thing. Like he starts out off as an evil guy and then he develops into something more. But I don't really see that in Mario, you know.
Yeah, you would think that like Nintendo would want to have like multiple Mario movies to publish, and it's like
they're
this.
already actually slotting up another one. Which
Yeah,
is
and
great.
Yeah,
this
you know,
just
they're
this to
gonna-
me this
yeah.
just feels like a standalone. Like to me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to watch a second one just because like they didn't like develop the character at all. It was just like that's it, and it's like what else is there? Like
I mean, with
to
the
talk
box
about?
office this movie's getting, there's gonna be a lot of spin-offs and there's gonna be a lot of sequels, and I would genuinely not be surprised if there's like a Nintendo cinematic universe.
Which is the worst idea ever.
I completely agree, but yeah.
You know nothing about Nintendo. You know, but like, so our general opinion seems to be it's whatever. It doesn't transcend a children's movie at the end of the day. It is at the end of the day a children's movie and nothing more, and that's what you should be walking in expecting. So, okay, before we wrap it up and give it our final rating, I wanted to ask one more thing. If you could see one thing added to this movie, just one thing, what would you want them to add? Carlos, we can start with you again.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay, you're not ready yet. Does anyone?
Character development.
Character development. That's fair. My answer for the serious was more runtime so that they could explore the world more. Right. I want to see more of the idea of the world they brought up and gave concepts for. I want to see more of that. And then as a super nerd, my answer is I want to see like Rosalina, one of the characters that seemed like they were going to be in it, like a really loved character by the Mario fan base, was for some reason just not in the movie, which still bugs me. So I wanted Rosalina in the movie.
Yeah, maybe they're saving her for
Maybe
like
they're
other
saying
movies.
which would,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, my thing that I would like to add is something that I'd actually like them to do less of. I want less focus on the references. Like, some of them were just too much. In
Yeah.
particular, this one really rubbed me the wrong way. In particular, in the Mario Kart scene
Yeah.
where they're on the Rainbow Road and the blue-winged Koopa gets mad and he does his little bomb attack and he literally yells out, "Blue shell." Okay, and this is obvious. It's a very obvious reference to Mario Kart. If you've ever played that game, there is a power-up where you throw a blue shell and he does the exact same spinny bomb move. And like the only reason that is there is to be a reference, and they do everything in their power to just make it as corny as possible. So really,
And then it hits second place. It doesn't even do the thing
The
that the
movie
power-up
is
is
so
supposed
corny.
to do.
That's exactly how I describe it.
right,
It's
so
Yeah.
less
So
corniness.
Yeah.
I think the corniness is enjoyable if you're really into the franchise. Like I generally enjoy the movie, right? But I can totally see that if you didn't, dude, it's just too much. It's weird. So
I would have enjoyed having more Bowser, even, to be
Ooh,
honest.
sure.
Like, just 10 more minutes with that character would have been great, because out of all the characters in that film, he really did feel like the most fleshed out, because, like, his romance thing with Peach, kind of, and I would have
Right.
loved to see more of that.
What I would have loved, which actually would have made the movie more unique, I think, is if Peach and Bowser came to an understanding instead of having the whole like battle go on. Like
Yeah.
if Peach realized like that Bowser didn't actually want to destroy everything if he didn't have to, like it just would have made for a much more unique ending than what we ended up getting, which is just generic fight
Yeah, there was no
At least
moment
it
of
didn't end in a dance
realization
scene.
and like
It was just like,
repentance for his
okay,
sins
there's
at
like the
all.
beginning of the movie, the middle of the movie, and the ending. There's a protagonist, there's an antagonist, and it's like they didn't want to do anything more with that.
Okay, well, for music, half of it is the original soundtrack, which is, in my opinion, 10 out of 10. And then half of it is the 70s and 80s songs that they used, which I think is some of the worst selections of pop songs I've ever seen in a movie. So, on average, I have to give it a 5 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8 because I like the songs, even if they were generic, and the actual original soundtrack was full of references, and it just sounded good, and it was a banger, and yeah. So just 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10.
I'd give it probably a 6 out of 10, just because the like old music with Mario didn't hit for me, but I understand why that would hit for the older fans. And I did like the older retro music, even if it didn't fit for the film.
Okay, that's fair. And
I don't want to give this a rating because I didn't really pay much attention
That's
to the
fair, yeah.
music. The only thing I focused on was like the end credit music, which I actually recognized, even though I wasn't really sure what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, visuals.
I mean, I think we can probably agree
It's
that
pretty movie.
visuals
It's-
are like
yeah.
at least a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a
It
very
was
pretty
good.
movie.
It was
Yeah.
good.
I'd say
yeah.
I like the character. Just 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
And for plot, I think we all agreed
It's like
it's very
3,
weak in
2
this
out of
area.
10.
Yeah, 3 out
At
of
least
10.
it makes sense at the end of the day, even if it's
Barely.
barely.
That's-
it's a
that's-
dumbed down,
Say
like,
it makes
but
sense,
it
but yeah.
not logically, but like you can follow it. You know what's
Yeah.
happening,
Well,
even
yeah.
if it's like logically like what.
The fact that the fan that's coping noticed, the best they can say is that it made sense.
Listen, I'm not blind to the flaws of the movie, so I'd give it like 3 out of 10,
Yeah.
2 out of 10, and then characters.
I think characters in general were enjoyable except for Toad.
I enjoyed Toad.
No.
He was adorable. He was cute.
Okay, you like
Exactly
Luma.
what
I kind of
wanted
liked him
to
too.
be.
He was so
Because I don't
annoying
know
to
what
me.
he's
I don't
supposed to be like to the game.
No, it's
It doesn't
not
even
even
matter.
It's not even related to how he's like in the game because he basically doesn't exist.
He's like a
in the
pawn
games.
in the game. He means nothing.
But just the character, especially the voice, was just so annoying. I could not
I
stand
thought the
it.
voice would.
I
sound
really
better,
like
May-
the
to be
characters because I
honest.
just liked how his interpretation of the characters I know and love. Carl hates Toad but likes the rest. What's your opinion?
On the characters,
Yeah.
I thought they were nice. I liked the characters.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were what I wanted them to be for this
Right.
kind of movie.
And
I liked all the characters except like Mario.
Right. So we have our general. I think our general consensus is it's from a fan point of view, it's good because the references, even if it's a bit much. From an outside point of view, there are enjoyable parts. It is a pretty movie. It does sound nice. But at the end of the day, if you're going to go in and watch it, and you already have watched it, assuming you've gotten to this point, it is a children's movie and nothing more, and that is all you should really be treating it as, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else anyone would want to add?
What's your overall rating out of 10, just for the movie? Anyone?
I think I would give it a 7 out of 10.
I would give it a 9 out of 10, but my opinion is invalid because I love Mario. So it's like I'm very, very biased.
I'd give it an 8 out of 10, probably. A low, like 7.5.
You guys are rating it so high. I give
Well-
it a 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to specify. So, in the way I see it, like 7 out of 10 is a passing grade. That's a 70%.
Oh, for
So-
me, it's like a 5 is like, okay, I semi liked it, but it was like whatever. And so for me, like an 8 is like, oh, it's super good. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
Like,
A
So
9
if
is
I was
I like
going
the
off-
funny Mamma Mia man, and
If,
that's it.
if I was
Yeah.
going off your scale, it would probably be closer to a 6 or 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
Good.
That will be all for today. Thank you so much for listening. For a transcript of this episode, please head to the Point of View tab on nhsmessenger.org and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for more episodes. We're your hosts,
Yeah.
Delisa,
Jonah?
Carlos?
And Logan.
and this is Point of View.